Jess, a very efficient win for you today. Do you want to just run us through what was working well for you today?
Thought I played a very clean match, kind of executed exactly what I wanted to from the start. Maybe, got a little help from her end, but at the same time, was able to really just play a super clean match and kind of do what I wanted to from start to finish. So, when those days come around, you take them and you run on with those to the next day because it doesn't happen often. So she's a really tricky player and a good competitor, and happy that I got through with not a lot of drama, I guess.
Questions? David?
Hi, Jess. Congratulations on the win. I think you said on court you were disappointed to have to play McCartney because you're playing doubles together. Just how long have you known each other? What was the reaction amongst you when you found out you'd have to play so early in the tournament?
Yeah, it's been cool to kind of see her come up so quickly. I remember when I first started with my coach, Mark Merklin, or one of my coaches, he went to watch her play when she was playing like qualies of a grass court tournament, and it was right when we just started. And he told me, he coached her brother at Florida, and there was like a really cool connection there. And she just kind of started on tour and was starting to do pretty well, but was still playing qualies of a lot of these events. And she kind of rose up really quickly. So it's been kind of fun to see how well she's been doing. She's super nice. Got to play BJK with her. Got to know her a little bit more. Her husband's really nice. Her brother coach is really nice. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about them. But always tricky when you have to play someone that you know and that you like, and then also that you're playing doubles with. I said on court, we had a bunch of blunders trying to play doubles together. Don't ask me why, but it was like there was like a miscommunication one time. One time I thought we signed in, but we didn't sign in. And then one time we, or actually in Brisbane, we signed in and didn't get in. So there's like a lot of these things. And then finally we got to play with each other. We're in the draw. We're all good. Everyone's good to play. And, we play each other second round. So that part was just, kind of just unfortunate, I guess, because, we obviously want to see each other do well separately in singles, not when we have to play each other.
Charlie?
I just wondered, do you communicate with your coaches about what you want from them during a match, and does that change at a tournament like this when they're kind of much closer to you?
I've always kind of been give me less. I think less is more for me, unless there's something really glaring, but I'm not the type that really wants to chat. Usually if I'm in a good frame of mind, I think I'm a little bit more open to talk and just not necessarily tell me what to do. I don't think I like that, but I think it's more of look out for certain patterns, look out for certain plays, or maybe just kind of cue me on something that I need to change. But I like it to be very problem solving, kind of figuring things out. I don't think I do well when someone kind of just directly tells me you need to do this, you need to do that. I don't think I respond well to that. So I do communicate with them to keep it more of an open dialogue almost. I think that kind of helps me get my brain thinking and problem solving better out on the court, and helps me kind of see the court better when I feel like I have that type of communication. But it's important, especially now with people being so close, especially here where the boxes are kind of down on the court. Before, I feel like in other slams, they're so far away that you can't really hear them or know what they're saying anyways, if they were maybe mentioning something.
What about an encouragement perspective? Some players want their team to be really going for it. Some are just back off. Where do you stand on that?
I don't think I give off a lot of fired up energy sometimes when I'm out there. So I think they kind of just vibe with what I'm kind of feeling. But I mean, I never want them to not be fired up, but at the same time, again, I think they kind of match my energy a little, and maybe kind of now that they know me a little bit more, kind of see when I need a little bit more or when I need a little bit less. Usually I don't need less. So, but I'm not into getting super hyped up. Again, that with my personality, it can be very draining for me, and I feel like I get really high, and usually there's a lull at some point, so I kind of just like to stay steady, and I think they do a good job of kind of staying there with me.
I'm just curious if you feel are there more spinnier ball strikers on tour now compared to when you were younger and when you first came onto the tour? I guess I'm thinking of like Coco and Iga, Zheng,
Yeah.
Marlene. It feels like there are quite a few on tour right now.
I think there's girls that probably hit like a heavier ball now. When I started, I think it felt like more flat. I think courts were faster. Everything was just faster. You didn't really have time to lift the ball as much. And then I do feel like, though, there was a lot of players like a Halep or a Wozniacki at some point who I didn't play that much because I wasn't quite ranked as high when they were kind of like dominating, where they hit more of like not a lot of pace, but spinny. With certain shots, they had very good backhands where they hit hard. Now I feel it's kind of like a mix a little bit where there's more of a heavier ball. I think girls seem bigger and stronger, and they hit not just like a slow spinny ball, but they can hit kind of that heavy one, maybe more kind of like a guy where it's a big ball, but it's not exactly flat. It does have some rotation on it, and I do think maybe, you know, the conditions and just the way the game kind of changes over different years and generations a little bit. But I mean, compared to the guys, though, I feel like the girls still hit a lot flatter.
Congrats on the win. This is a pretty sensitive subject, but the U.S. is a year into the second Trump administration now, and a lot of people are suffering. And I'm wondering how you're feeling about things back home personally, and specifically what the mood is like in Florida.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I feel, I don't know. I don't like to kind of dabble too much into politics just because it's just not the space that I really want to say that much on. But yeah, I just hope that everybody can kind of at some point come together and work together as far as situations, or whether it's political or not political in our country. I feel like, we have a big country where there's a lot of media attention on us too. And that's tough because things definitely make their way around the world. And even me being in Australia, you hear about all these things going on back home. But I just hope, that we can come together at some point with like a good dialogue where things can actually get accomplished and things that we want to see accomplished, and it not be so divisive, I guess.
And when you've been in Florida, have you noticed kind of a shift in the mood at all, or?
Personally, Florida's been, I think, okay. I think Florida, there's a big melting pot of different people from all over in Florida. So I feel like, especially me being in South Florida near Miami, I mean, there's people of all over the country that come to move to Florida, and there's a lot of international people that are there. So I don't know if that's maybe why you kind of get a lot of different cultural differences in a good way, honestly. So Florida, to me, at least where I live, has been fine.
A couple more, David.
The tournament has posted a lot of attendance records in the last few days, even the lead up to the tournament. There's just so many more people on the grounds. Just as a player, do you get a sense there's a lot more people? And just how does that feel? What is that environment like?
I don't even know what goes on out there because I haven't had to I don't walk and, watch matches, but I did see some of the courts have lines getting in, and it seems really busy. And I saw some reports that it's some of their busiest they've ever been, and it's packed and, all that, which is, I think, great. I mean, obviously it shows that the event is growing, the sport is growing, and that's, amazing. I think it was Iala is the match that I was looking at, and there's people wrapped around the stadium just trying to get in, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, it's cool to see and it's exciting, but obviously, for fan experience, I don't know, because I'm not living that same experience, but hopefully the event kind of continues to grow with the fans that we're getting, and making that still an enjoyable experience for them.
Did you have one? Yeah, and then we'll finish with John.
A lot of players have come into the tour the new season with changed service motions, and even from last year there was a lot of tinkering with service motions on both tours. It seems to me like players are more willing to change things or make big changes to their serve compared to other ground strokes. I'm curious if you feel that's the case, and if so, why?
I think it's probably easier because the serve is one thing that you can control with there being no other thing affecting it. It's just you and the ball. You control everything. When you start changing ground strokes, it can be really difficult. One, you probably hit more ground strokes than you do serves. And two, you're responding to how someone's hitting the ball back at you. And I think when you start putting that variable into play, it is a lot harder to kind of change strokes. Obviously, it's fine if you could just stand there and someone drops a ball and you're working on technique, but then all of a sudden, having someone else hit the ball differently, you don't know what's coming back, you don't know how it's coming back. The speed of the court, the ball, there's so many other variables that come into play, which I think is what makes tennis so hard, is that you're doing a lot of your stuff based off of, in a split second, what someone else is doing back to you. With the serve, you don't have that issue. So I think it's just a lot easier to kind of change because you have full control over your stroke, whereas, on your ground strokes, you definitely don't. So, yeah, I changed my service motion like a few years ago too. I'm a big proponent of changing things if you feel like it needs to be changed. I always am like, I don't want to end my career saying I wish I would have tried something different. Doesn't mean it's always going to work. Could fail pretty bad, but and it's a process too. I think changing strokes is a process. I think you have to do little things little by little. Especially when, our schedule, we don't have a lot of time to break things down, where we're not playing. So sometimes you're changing things and then you're actually having to put that into a match play pretty quickly. And that's hard to do. So, again, I think the serve is probably the easiest stroke to kind of do that for.
Since you've been a pro, have you ever made a big change to either of your ground strokes, or was that always like little by little?
Honestly, I think I was blessed with an amazing coach that taught me very good technical strokes. I don't think I ever really had to change much. If anything, it's just more footwork, legs, maybe shortening your swing a little bit, but not actually changing any technique. I think the only thing that I have changed throughout my career is probably my serve. And I've tried certain things a couple times and kind of, manipulated that a little bit, but that's it.
Arena's had a few questions about like being the world number one and kind of the responsibilities that bring in a way that I don't remember like Jannik or Carlos being asked. And I just wondered, for you as a leading women's player as well, do you think there's like a different expectation on women and male players in regards to like, being an ambassador for the sport and a spokesperson and that kind of thing?
I don't know. I don't really feel like that. I feel like it's pretty even. I think maybe for women, tennis is probably the biggest sport in the world for women. I think when you look at the men, there's other sports that people probably pay attention to more or are up there with tennis, at the same level. So I think maybe that's kind of a difference where maybe there is more of a spotlight on her because she is, the number one player, has been, for a little while now. And she's kind of maybe leading the torch, or if you want to call it that, for us as a women's sport. So I could see that, but I don't really think there's any big difference in expectations. I mean, I think it's just she's number one, and we just happen to have the sport that's probably, that women make the most. That's probably the most popular, and that just kind of, I guess, comes with it.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks.